All right, in this video right now, I'm going to explain to you how to tell if you are making progress in your speech. And I can guarantee you it's not what you think, because a lot of people think that they're making progress in their speech once they're becoming more fluent. And that makes sense, right? I'm making progress in my speech once I'm stuttering less, if you're a person who stutters. But that's not true, because you could be stuttering less for a wide variety of reasons. Maybe you just haven't gone out that often. Maybe you've been talking to your friends and your family more often that are more comfortable to you, and you haven't really pushed yourself like you used to. I see a lot of people thinking they're making progress in their speech when in reality, they've just gotten better at not feeling guilty about doing less. I think I just stepped in dog shit, to be honest with you. My foot is like sticking to the ground each time. Okay. So the real way to test if you are making progress in your speech, I'll explain it to you right now. But I first want to introduce, it's not if you're becoming more fluent. All right, that's not it. Here's the truth. And before I break into it, if you don't know who I am, my name's Chase Gillis, and I help people overcome stuttering authentically, without speech techniques, without any type of ear devices, without any tricks, but by addressing the real root issues. So you're getting a real root answer right now. Buckle in, there's so much value in this. So, you are making progress in your speech based upon the level of belonging you feel before and after you stutter. For example, when you stutter, what is your response? What's your emotional response? Is it to hide away? Do you feel disconnected from other people? Do you feel like other people are judging you? Do you feel like other people are making stories up in their mind about who you are and what you're capable of? If so, you don't have a sense of belonging in that interaction. You don't feel like you belong when you are constantly feeling like you're being judged. How can you belong and feel judged at the same time? Constantly. You don't feel safe enough to let your guard down. So what happens when you don't feel this sense of belonging? You feel like you need to prove yourself. You feel like you need to please other people. You feel like you need to pretend like you don't stutter. You feel like you have to be perfect. The 4 P's of stuttering: proving, pleasing, pretending, and perfecting. And based upon the severity of the amount you feel you need to prove and please and pretend and perfect, if you feel like you need to do those 4 P's very highly in the interaction, you don't have a sense of belonging. Because you don't need to prove yourself in situations you feel like you belong in. You just don't. You don't need to you don't need to pretend. You don't need to perfect. You only need to do those things in situations where you feel like you have to put up a front and you can't show your true self. So, if you are seeing an increase in the level of shame, if you're feeling an increase in the level of disconnect from other people when you stutter, you're not making speech progress. What speech progress is, authentically, is when you're able to stutter openly and still feel connected to other people. Your level of connection to other people is improving, is increasing. And again, how you can tell is to ask yourself, what desire do I feel to prove myself in this situation, to please other people, to pretend and to perfect? If you feel like these 4 P's are decreasing, Like you don't need to prove yourself. Like you feel like you don't need to pretend. Like when you stutter, you're not now in a fight or flight response where you're looking to minimize the impact of what is happening right now, but you feel like you can still let your guard down, and you do not need to pretend or put up a front or anything. If you feel you're increasing that capability to be yourself, you're improving your speech. And why? Like, you may ask, how is that improving my speech? It's improving your speech because you are only stuttering and having suffering experiences when you're stuttering, when you have a front up, when you're trying to prove yourself, when you don't feel completely content and accepted in who you are, when you feel like you have to be someone that you're not. Because that's when the tension gets built, and that's when you stutter the most, is when you have all this tension inside of you that has been created because you're afraid to be judged, because you're afraid of being disconnected, because you're afraid people won't like you. So you create this front and this fake persona that feels like he needs to prove, please, pretend, and perfect. So clearly, you're going to stutter more in the situations that you feel like you don't belong in the most. Alternatively, you will be the most open, effortless, natural speaker when you have the least amount of tension in your body. And the least amount of tension is in your body when you feel like you belong, when you feel like you don't need to prove, please, or pretend or perfect. And it's also when you're the most authentic you. You don't need to anticipate, you don't need a filter, you don't need to have doubts, you don't need to have anxiety, because the worst case scenario is you stutter in your mind, right? And if you come to the understanding that people will still accept you, people will still love you, even if you stutter, and you have that sense of belonging, what is there to resist? What is there to hide if the worst case scenario is a stutter and you understand nothing would change if that happens? The real you can come out. You can show all sides of you. And that is the goal. That is what taps in. That's what's going to allow you to tap into your natural flowing state that you already can talk in, like in a room by yourself, is when you feel that. When you feel that increasing sense of belonging in all interactions, especially after you stutter. That's the real gauge. Not fluency. That's dependent upon so many things, but your sense of belonging in interactions that you may once, or with people you may once have had a lot of anxiety around, or a lot of disconnect around. Now you're feeling more connected to them, even with the stuttering happening. And that's fucking beautiful. And when that comes and you're stuttering and you feel like you belong, you're stuttering and you feel like you belong, you're connecting more positive emotions to your stutter, and you're able to rewire how you feel about your speech, because it gets you that belonging. And that's the next level. That's the advanced level, is stuttering can get you that belonging more than if you didn't stutter. But that's for another video. I'm sure I've talked about it before, of why stuttering is a superpower in connection. But that's how you gauge it, all right? That's a real authentic way to gauge your progress. I hope that made sense. And again, I'm Chase Gillis. I help people who stutter. If you're someone who wants to overcome stuttering authentically, and you don't want to go down the speech technique way, you don't want to have a breathing technique for the rest of your life, you don't want to have an ear device, you don't want to have to take pills, you want to do this authentically and express yourself the way you already know you can, then you can click the closest link down below in the description, and you can talk to me one-on-one. I'll analyze your situation. I would see if you'd be a good fit to work together, and if you are, then we can book a free one-on-one consultation. My bad. That person came really close to me, like he was walking completely directional to me. The last second he cut right into me, so I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna leave that in there. Click the closest link down below in the description to talk to me. and we can see if we would be a good fit to work together. All right? I love you. Peace.